nervous. Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to an actual scripted long form video. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, but you can thank someone in particular for that. We'll talk into it a little bit later. But welcome to our Literature 101 course. So I decided to make a little series introducing some prominent literary figures and some very important literary movements, because as we probably all know, I did not pursue a literature degree, but we're going to pretend like I did. I am here to just research my way into the landscape. I have a couple lessons planned. We're going to dive into Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe, Oscar Wilde. We're going to do all of my favorite authors, as well as authors who I might have been reading for the first time, like it is the case for this episode. I decided to format these as little classes just to put my actual degree to some use. Today's video is not so one-sided. We actually have a student enrolled in today's class. We actually just have my boyfriend here behind the camera. He was
Hi everyone.
kind enough. He was kind enough to accept being part of this. Please introduce yourself. Say hi.
Hi everyone. This is me, Felix. Anna's. I don't know what you guys call her. Either Anna. I call her Paulina. Yeah,
You call me baby.
I do, and my love, and but yeah, don't mind me here. I will be asking a few questions, and I hope to be of some help.
He's here to actually act as you, so he's here to act as the audience. You're gonna be able to live vicariously through him and actually experience what being in my type of lecture would feel like. He is an absolute beginner. He does not know anything about classic literature or just like in general literature. What he knows so far is what I've been telling him or what I've been, talking to him about. Actually, just yesterday we watched the new adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo, and then we proceeded to watch the video I made on The Count of Monte Cristo. You can check that out if you like. Today we're just discussing an English poet. I really hope y'all enjoy it. So if you want to take notes, you may. Although, as a quick disclaimer, I feel obligated to say I am in no way, shape, or form certified to a live class, but this is obviously just for funsies, and I hope we all learn something from each other. If you do have contributions, you're more than welcome to leave them in the comments below. You know that I absolutely adore this kind of feedback. So we're gonna start by introducing y'all to the world of Samuel Taylor Coleridge. You might already know this by the title of the video, but we're gonna be diving into him, romanticism, and just context overall. Unit 1 is only about context. Next video, or Unit 2, we'll be discussing some of his poems, dissecting them as good as we can. What questions do you have before we start?
No questions so far.
I'm just really nervous. It's the first time that I'm recording with anyone in here. So I'm a little nervous, but oh, by the way, we had a matching tattoo done yesterday. Look at that. Isn't that so cute?
Yeah, we did. I can confirm.
He was the first one to go. And that's how you know we're locked in. You better. Why are we discussing Samuel Coleridge? First of all, this is an author that I didn't really know anything about, but I do own the box set of the Penguin Little Black Classics. Is that how you call them? The Penguin Little Black Classics. I own this collection, and I feel like it's a starting point if you want to dive into any author in particular. It is an international box set, so we have authors from all around the world. If you watch one of my reels or one of my shorts, the Wheel of Names gave me this one to read randomly. I just fell in love with it. So this little collection is titled Well, They Are Gone and Here Must I Remain, which is how one of the poems starts. This is why we're diving into him, because after doing some research, I discovered that he's actually one of the first ever romantic poets in England. I hope you enjoy. I hope you sit down with a little snack. You can't eat in my class
I
or
already
drink.
did.
He's already eating something. Look at him. Who was this guy anyway? Samuel Coleridge was a literary critic, a poet, and he was also a philosopher. So he was the youngest of 10 children, and when his father died, he was sent to Christ Hospital, a boarding school in England, where he learned literature and imagination. So he went to study at Jesus College in Cambridge, although he unfortunately left without a degree. In 1795, Coleridge met William Wordsworth, also one of the most prominent figures in English Romanticism. This marked the beginning of one of the most important partnerships in English literature. Coleridge struggled with poor health, opium addiction, and very deep psychological distress. This very prominently shaped his writing. He spent his later years as a lecturer and as a prolific essayist, contributing to literary history in more ways than one. He lived with his friends who often supported him during his declining health. He died in 1834 in London, and he left behind a legacy that expanded way more than just the English Romantic movement. Let's take a little break here because I do want to ask a question to the floor. By asking a question to the floor, I mean asking a question to the smartest person in this class. What do you think? We're talking about Coleridge living in poor health, in deep psychological stress. So he was depressed, he suffered with anxiety, and he also had an opium addiction. How do you think that actually shaped the form of his writing?
Well, it sounds like he was not exactly healthy, so that maybe impacted his later work. You cannot do, I mean, your health always impact the things you do, right? So I assume we can expect to see some darker poetry on his later work. I don't know.
Hey, good job. So I like how you said that we are going to look at some darker poetry. It is true. We are going to look, or we're going to analyze disturbing images of his psyche, but also we're talking about romanticism. We're going to define this in the next few slides, but tell me how you think, or what do you think romanticism is, or how did it come to be because of these two people? So Wordsworth, we're not discussing him yet, but he's also a very prolific writer. He's one of the classic English poets. So how did he and Coleridge shape a movement called romanticism?
If I'm completely honest, I have no idea, but I can do give you an insight, or I don't know if you can call this an insight. I always thought romanticism had to deal with the Roman Empire times, and it sounds like this is a completely different era. So I guess I can just share that for now.
That's okay. That's a very educated guess. You know, this is why I like talking to you. Let's talk about romanticism, how this movement really shaped literary landscape. This is a time of revolutionary change. This came as a counterculture in literature, arts, also religion. So this came as a counterculture to the industrial revolution. Machinery, about technology, expanding the industry, and romanticism is how people escaped reality in order to cope with technological advance. Sort of how you doom scroll through your social media in order to escape financial stress. Romantics emphasized emotion, imagination, nature, the supernatural, the esoteric. This is how Coleridge actually shaped the movement. Coleridge's writing both defined and also transcended the Romantic movement. Now, he explored the mystical, the metaphysical. He blended Christian theology with German philosophical work. The elements of the supernatural are very strong, very prominent in his writing. Okay, so unlike Wordsworth, whose writing was deeply rooted in pastoral realism and common language, Coleridge's work emphasized dreamscape. It emphasized ancient myths and psychological depth. He was also a pioneering literary critic. So one of his works, Biographia Literaria, he expounded on the imagination, poetic genius, and just the nature of literary art. His theories helped shape modern notions of the organic unity of the poem, and it later also inspired writers like Poe, T.S. Eliot, and Emerson. Yeah, let's put that into context. What are some romantic ideals that you seek in your daily life as escapism from reality?
What I understand is, what are some elements from romanticism that I don't know, I see in my on a daily basis in my life, something like that. Thinking about sunsets and I don't know, connecting with nature. It sounds like those were the kind of things that people would use to escape their reality back when there was no YouTube channels like this one where people could enjoy. And I don't know, I will say that in like enjoying nature. And yeah, I'll say that for
Good job. So I do feel like when we want to escape the harsh reality of life, I feel like we take a day trip to the beach. For example, if I feel like I am like super claustrophobic, I take a break at work and I just go outside because you have to disconnect from, you're always looking at screens. So there's some way that you have to purify that. Romanticism is often looked at in paintings. There's always this emphasis in connecting with nature and just the simple things. We're gonna look at some of his themes, and
you change his life.
I did. That's on purpose.
Okay.
We're gonna look at the themes that he would write about just so we can know what to expect. According to his poetry, some of the themes that he encompasses are the supernatural and the sublime. So Coleridge didn't just write about ghosts and spirits. He used the supernatural to probe questions about faith, guilt, and redemption. He saw imagination as the highest creative faculty, capable of accessing divine truth and transcendental beauty. While Wordsworth saw nature as a moral guide, Coleridge viewed it as symbolic and metaphysical. So he saw nature as a reflection of the infinite, and that's a very, very common image throughout his writing or throughout his poetry. He really loved to reconnect with nature, and he was awfully dramatic too. His work also often grapples with insanity, with madness, with dreams, with nightmares. Why are we starting with Coleridge? What are we expecting? Why do we still read him? Coleridge's work invites us to plunge into the factors that play between imagination and reality, and we're viewing poetry not just as language, but as a portal to the unconscious and to your psyche. Through him, we're going to encounter the Romantic era's soaring of ambition and the dark undercurrents. So his legacy is not only found in his anthologies of work, but also the way we think about art, religion, and metaphysics. I know that you are a fan of philosophy. I want to know, so far, what do you know about metaphysics?
Basically, the things we use to explain phenomena in the world, but it's the things we cannot see, right? Like what's beyond physics, basically.
Okay, good job. We're starting with this collection. I don't have anything else about him. All of these works are superb and very poignant. So we're gonna start analyzing some of these in our next video. So excited! Just join us later for a dramatic reading of While They Are Gone and Here Must I Remain. I think that's it. Thank you so much. So that's all for Unit 1. I hope you really enjoyed today's class. I'm going to leave some homework to you. I'm going to assign you a little reading of literally the poem that gives the name to this small collection, which is The Lime Tree Bower, My Prison. This is the first we're going to dissect later. And just so you know, I also, because I think love must never die, one can never be too romantic, I also want you to read You Mold My Hopes, because I dedicated that to you, baby. That poem reminds me of you. What questions do you have so far about this course?
No questions. I love it so far. I feel like I'm absorbing so much information and I'm overcoming some misconceptions of some literary concepts and movements, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Yay! Good, because you're gonna sit through as many of these as we're doing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Maybe not next week, but next time. Bye.